Morning, I'm Jon Thelen. Today on Fish Ed. We ran up to Lake of the Woods. We've come a long ways north this morning, but there's a pretty good bite up here on some of these flats up around these islands. We're gonna get after some walleyes today. We're gonna show you exactly how to catch them midsummer. Stay right where you're at. Fish Ed's coming up. There's some right there. Got him. I just set up on the edge of this flat. Just started cruising here, and we're not fishing very deep today. Fishing 13, 14 feet. Looks like a good eater walleye to start. Oh yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for right there. Just a good eater walleye to start our day. You know, these midsummer deals, what's happening here is the fish have not headed out into that deep, deep stuff yet. They're still sitting on the edges of structures. And this flat I'm sitting on here today, here's the thing. Right up here it gets really shallow, but out here is kind of that first break where it starts getting into some deeper water, and I get a little bit smoother bottom. I get out of that rocks a little bit. And this is the kind of area that these fish are staging up on right now. And it's really neat because they're so easy to find on your map chip, and you can pretty well count on the fact that when you find them, there's going to be fish here. We're sitting right now in water temps that are 66 degrees. And walleyes like that one right there, they just haven't had to make their way out to that deep stuff yet, because here's what's going on. The bait fish is still here. So they're just roaming up and down these edges, right down off of the break, right along this edge. There's food all over, and walleyes like that are just cruising back and forth eating. And it makes it really, really easy fishing, because all I'm doing is I'm finding those spots on the map, and then I'm just cruising it back and forth. But fish like this, they're just stacked up. So if you just run that ledge, you can catch them pretty quick. We'll throw him in the well. He's gonna be a great dinner fish tonight. Bit it. And I think I missed him, and then he came right back. And that time we got him. Look at that. That's a neat thing about the bait that I'm fishing here. Ooh, this is a big walleye too. Yeah, he's not as big as I thought, but you know what? An awful good one. And we got him. Get this guy in here. Look at that fish. That's a dandy right there. But that's one of the neatest things about the bait that I'm fishing here, is it is just one of those baits that it's aggressive enough that the fish really want to hit it. I mean, they don't come up and nip at this bait that I'm using. Yeah, walleye. What a great fish he is right there. I think we'll let him go because he's going to be a little bit on the big side for the slot here. So let's throw him back, and then let me show you this bait that we're using. Because I'll tell you what, this new Lindy Lil Guy is just one of those baits that just catches fish. And it not only catches numbers, but it's also one of those baits that really just catches a lot of big fish. This has just been a really neat bait. And what this is it's a little floating body that actually runs like a crankbait out in front of a crawler. We got a 2-hook crawler harness here. Now, one of the things I always do is I pinch that crawler off about an inch behind that harness, because so often those fish are coming up and they're coming after this little body. And then we also got beads on here that all match those bait fish colors. But here's the other thing that's really neat about this. You can get this in a whole variety of colors. Now, where I'm fishing today, this is really a shiner-based population. So what I'm doing is I'm using one of those silver-sided, you know, a gold-sided, something metallic is going to be really, really good in this situation. But you can get them in all kinds of different colors, bright colors, you know, perch colors, fire tiger type colors. They're just an awesome, awesome bait. But one of the other things you notice is all of the bead patterns match those bodies. So they're not just used as spacers, they're actually attracting fish in. And when fish come in, they just attack the thing from the side. You'll notice I'm fishing them right out of rod holders, because most often these fish hit it so aggressively that they actually hook themselves. So one of the best ways to fish it is to just put it out there, put a bottom bouncer there in front of it. You know, 1.5 ounces is what I'm using today. I'm just fishing 13, 14 feet. And what that 1.5 ounces is going to do is put me at a 45. Just put it in the rod holder and let it rip. But yeah, that's one of the neatest baits I've seen in years. It's kind of the best of both worlds, you know. It gets you into that live bait type situation with a Lindy rig or a spinner, but then it also acts like a crankbait with that body out in front of it. Yeah, it's so tough to tell when you're fishing shallow as we're fishing here. You know, you get 12, 13 feet of water. You don't got that much line out when you're going at a 45-degree angle. Great eater walleye to wrap up the day. One of the things I'll tell you too about these baits, keep changing colors. I've made some color changes here and there. We've got them on that blue silver today. This walleye right here, I just switched over and I went to something really bright, and I'll tell you why. It just seems like the water a little bit dingy today, and that's why we make all these baits in all these different colors. That right there, great walleye to wrap up with. Hey, I'll tell you what, you can get out here and do this. This is a great time of year to be out fishing this mid-summer period when the water's finally starting to warm up. Run an aggressive bait like that Lindy Lil Guy, catch a bunch of fish like that one to throw in the live well. I'm Jon Thelen. We'll catch you next week on Fish Head.